Welcome to the Art Bazaar, a podcast that chats with artists of all types to explore the depths of creativity, brought to you by the Alternative Gallery. We'll be releasing new episodes every Wednesday with bonus episodes dropping randomly. If you like what you're hearing, you can support this podcast by going to thealternativegallery.com and clicking on the podcast tab. I'm your host, Brandon Wonder, creative director of the Alternative Gallery, a non-profit arts organization in Allentown, PA, run through the efforts of dedicated volunteers. On today's episode of Art Bazaar, we'll be talking with Paul Solarte Dan Cao, breakdancers with the Hidden Characters crew, also known as HXC. Hidden Characters is a breakdancing crew which was founded in 2002 here in Allentown by local b-boys. Many of the dancers were still in high school when they formed the crew and have since gone on to perform around the world. Most of the original dancers are still involved and still dancing, and a new generation has also stepped in to keep the culture going. Dan has been with the crew since 2016, and Paul started working with the Hidden Characters in 2018 and officially joined the crew in 2022. In that time, they've worked on organizing practices, sponsorships, community outreach, as well as hosting their own events. One such event is taking place right here at the Alternative Gallery on Sunday, September 17th, and is called Breaking Steel, Nothing But Style. Welcome to the show, Paul and Dan. Glad to have you, boys.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Hello.
Are you guys excited to chat all things dance and art?
Oh, yeah.
So I figured we start off pretty easy here and just kind of whoever wants to go first, tell me what your first forays into dance were.
All right. So for me, I just randomly saw videos on the internet, and that just became an addiction for me. I would just watch videos like every day until I would try out the different things that I would see. And that would just be the routine from getting home from school, like day after day after day.
How'd you find these videos? Like, what website were you on?
YouTube. One of the first battles I ever saw was Super Crew versus Rocksteady Crew at one of the freestyle sessions. Yeah, and that was like, I have to try to do this after I saw those.
Yeah, and for those listening, freestyle session is one of the big ongoing breakdancing jams that's been going on here in the culture. How about you, Paul?
It's more of like hip hop. So like the first time I saw anything in general was my aunt. She did a lot of graffiti. So I lived in New York during the time. So I'll be with her in the train station. She would etch her name with sandpaper into the windows or tag up stuff. So I saw a lot of that. So like mainly when it comes to dancing, a lot of salsa and popping because my family is Colombian and Salvadorian. So I dealt with that my whole life. And yeah, so like a lot of MTV, You Got Served. It's like all those little things like that. I always enjoyed it. I liked hip hop a lot. I did graffiti myself, and it just became all that until I moved to PA. And that's when I started breaking.
So when you guys first started dancing, did you have any friends that were dancers? How did you meet, your first dancers?
I was 3 years deep into breaking by myself in my room, and someone contacted me via bboy.org, and they were just like, hey, we got to practice, and we want you to come by. With Stranger Danger that I grew up with, I was just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And he contacted me like 3 times. Even when I got there, I was like, I don't know. Maybe I should go back. Yeah.
Was the practice like at his house?
No, it was at Lehigh University, which is like where I meet like everyone here, actually.
Well, I mean, that's like pretty safe. Someone invites you to come dance at Lehigh University. It's not like they're inviting you to their house.
Yeah, but that was like the first time I ever met anyone.
How many dancers were out there? Was it a few people?
I think it was like 10 local heads from Allentown that were there.
So you went from dancing with no one to meeting 10 plus people from Allentown that were also dancing.
Yeah.
Did that like blow your mind?
Yeah, man, I had no idea. Outside of, what was that event? Mayfair?
Yep.
Yeah, the events that happened at Mayfair. I think I went to one, and I saw all the breakers that came out to that. That also blew my mind because that was the first jam I ever went to. Yeah, that was really cool.
So you were shocked to find breakers right here in your backyard in Allentown.
I had no idea that anyone was out here until like 2010, I think.
So Paul, your aunt, was she friends with dancers or more so graffiti artists?
More graffiti artists. She ran away from home, all that stuff. So I just was more, attracted to that stuff for some reason. So it's like that. But when I first started like dancing, the first person who I've like hung out with was James Santiago. He's out in New York City, some Filipino kid, and we would just practice popping. And he would beatbox a lot, so he would do the drop it like it's hot beatbox. That was pretty cool.
Would he beatbox while he was popping?
I can't remember. It's been such a long time.
That's pretty dope. So
Yeah.
when you came to Allentown, who were some of the first dancers or people involved with the scene that you got involved with or met?
Well, the first time I got involved with breaking was I moved to PA in 2007. I was in Harleysville, and I met this guy named Crisby, or Chris Loki. He was part of All in One crew, and we used to hang out with Dreamers crew. But when he first saw me, he saw my shirt, and my shirt had like handstands on it, and he just told me like, "Hey, that's a cool shirt you have there. I do that shit myself." I'm like, "Oh, really?" And then he introduced me to the YMCA in Harleysville, which I met Vivid, and then from there, that's when I started learning how to break and things like that. So I was more intertwined with more of the Philly B-boys when I first started out with than Allentown. I moved to Allentown a little bit later, like 2011, 2012.
Yeah, it seems like the Philadelphia and the Allentown scenes have always kind of like overlapped. We see, I mean, even now you guys go to, they just brought it back, The Gathering in Philadelphia. Yeah. Can you guys kind of explain what The Gathering is?
The Gathering, the first time I went, or at least what I remember and what's going on now, is that everyone from Philly would come out, all the artists, hip-hop artists, breakers, graffiti writers, poppers, anyone would go out there, and it would just be a big thing where everyone would come up and get together as a community. And yeah, that was
so it's like it's an old church which has been converted into what did they convert it into exactly? Is it supposed to be a dance studio?
I think it's more like a theater. It looks like more of a theater for performing arts and things like that. And it's right by the Walnut Street Culinary School, whatever that's called. So
yeah, and they do it with the last Thursday of every month. They do,
yeah,
and it's kind of like open floors. Anyone can come out and dance.
Yep.
So what's your experience been like going to The Gathering?
My first time was pretty dope. Mad graffiti writers. It was bumping back then. Since they brought it back now, it's not as big as it used to be, but it's definitely getting there. But it's very nice.
They're like building it back up.
Yeah.
Right? Dan, you go almost every single one to dance, right?
I haven't been to too many myself. I know the very first time I went, I think it was back in 2015. The place was packed. It was pretty mind-blowing experience for me. I'm just chilling by the side, and one Philly breaker just calls me and my whole crew out, and like the whole room is battling us.
Wow.
And I was like, what?
Wow.
And I was like,
straight out of a movie.
I know. That was really cool, man.
And I wanted
the recent times I went, it's been a lot less. A few local heads that I see out there, they'll come through all the time. And I think Yax has been throwing it for the past couple months. But like, I haven't seen like too many Philly heads out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I've noticed a similar thing in Philadelphia that I have noticed here in the Lehigh Valley, where it seems like the group of artists and creators that existed here before the pandemic is kind of scattered about now. Mm-hmm. Like, I know we've had conversations about a lot of those Philly dancers, they moved away, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the deal is with Philly. Everyone, I think, is still out there, and like they're still really good, but they just won't go to things that people throw.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we had definitely talked to a bunch of people who had moved away. So I thought that was a bigger reason why the Gathering wasn't so large anymore. Or, I mean, maybe people aren't aware of it.
Maybe.
Or they don't think they need those kinds of... I mean, it's in a way, it's kind of practice, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't do formal battles there.
I think sometimes they'll do a battle. I did an exhibition there back in April or March.
Okay.
Yeah, and the turnout was pretty all right.
So you think they should probably host more exhibitions there to bring out people?
Maybe.
Yeah.
That or like...
Or just bring artists around the table. So like even having local artists to paint something there would be good. So just little things like that to get the more community more involved. Not including just the dancing, but everything else that's included.
Yeah, we're not linked in as much with the Philly art community as we are the Lehigh Valley and the Allentown art community. So I can definitely state better as far as Allentown. A big issue we had during the pandemic was so many of our artists moved away. They either moved to cities that had more opportunities for them to make money off their work, being, Philly, New York. I know people that moved to Miami or the West Coast, or in a lot of cases, people moved back to where they were prior to the pandemic. So and I think that's had a large impact on the arts here in Allentown. And one of the ways you can kind of tell that is, when, like we stated here, the Hidden Characters crew was originally founded in 2002, which was, the third iteration, I believe, of that crew. So the crew goes back even further than that. At that time, there were probably a dozen breaking crews in Allentown. And, I mean, now is there any other crews in Allentown, aside from Hidden Characters, that you guys are aware of?
I think Warriors is a crew where some heads are still around, but I don't even know how many of them are still like doing stuff for breaking. Like Anthony and Superman, they'll come by to practice here. Where's the rest? I have no idea.
So it's kind of just like the pieces of crews that are left over at this point, right?
Yeah.
So where we went from maybe a dozen or more crews in Allentown 20 years ago, there's barely one at this point.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for most of the arts, but like, with trying to get things organized over the years, like what kind of practice spaces have you had post-pandemic? Like, where have you guys been practicing?
Post-pandemic, I think it was me and Irv in an LA Fitness for like 10 years. And that was it. Like Paul would like sneak around sometimes and we'd see him there, but like,
Yeah, it's true.
Other than that, like for practice spaces in Allentown, none. Except for BIA when they would do the Street Ninja stuff.
Yeah, I remember
like,
that. Street Ninjas. Yeah.
But ever since they moved studios, we didn't have that anymore.
Yeah, I think they picked up a lot more classes when they moved studios. And
yeah.
That's probably a big reason why. Well, I remember you guys telling me because you didn't have any indoor spaces, you were going out to the parks.
Yeah.
To dance. Yep. What was that like?
Jordan Park by the handball courts next to the
skate park.
Skate park, yeah. We used to be out there, skaters would skate, and then we would be breaking, and then we just chill out there the whole time. And then we just look at each other the whole time. We look at the skaters would look at us, and then just be back and forth, and they'll enjoy the music, or we listen to their music, so it's nice.
Yeah, that sounds dope, but obviously that's very dependent on the weather.
Yeah.
What would you do during bad weather? Where would you practice?
No public practice then.
No
I would
practice.
just like practice in my space in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So if you didn't have nice weather or the right time of year, you were kind of shit out of luck?
Yeah, if we want to like, as far as like community practices and public practices go, yeah, there'd be like nothing.
Yeah. Wow. And for the last, how long has it been now? Year and a half? You guys have been practicing here at the gallery?
Yeah.
Longer than that?
I think it was October of last year.
Oh, so it's about a year then?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was longer. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why we thought it was important to open the space. A couple times a week, they come in. It's open to anyone that wants to come out. And you guys, what's the main night you do now? Monday night?
Yeah, Monday and Wednesday.
Monday and Wednesday here at the Alternative Gallery from what, like 7 to 9?
7 to 9, 7 to 10, depending on the turnout, who comes out, how long we're practicing for.
So Mondays and Wednesdays at the Alternative Gallery, 7 to 10 p.m., open practices for anyone that wants to come out. I know it's more so focused on breakdancing, but it's open to all styles of dance?
All styles of dance, DJs, all that stuff. Because sometimes we have random DJs that come through, just spin some breaks, and then we'll just chill with that, and then, yeah.
Well, and I know some people would probably think that having random styles of dance together would be kind of, I don't know, messy, but it seems to work. Like those are the nights when I feel like everyone's having the most fun. So what's it like when there's different styles of dancers, and can you talk about some of those different styles?
There's different styles of dancing, like popping, locking, krumping. It's a lot of different forms of dance. I think it's important for all dancers to understand all forms of dance, or at least some concept of it, because then it introduces more creativity, more musicality, depending on like what songs you're listening to. So as much as it's different style, which is not intertwining, but it's still the same, because we're still dancing, we're still doing the art. So it's no different from that.
So explain what krumping is, because I think for a lot of people, they might not have heard of krumping before.
I'm not the best person to explain Krumping. I mean, like, look at the documentary Rise. That's like the first thing I saw, like, way back before I started breaking when I was in Miami. When that documentary came out in the probably like 2006, 2007, not even like 2004. It was a Rise documentary about Krumpers that started out in like LA. But the best person to talk to is Ramel Harold, Beatside. He's the main pack Pennsylvania Crump movement in Pennsylvania. He knows more information about that.
The pack out, yeah, he's going to have his event here next month, and we're going to definitely have him on to talk about that in depth. I mean, from what I can see from Krumping, I'm not a dancer, I'm not an expert on Krumping, but it is very like tribal to me. It feels very new. It doesn't have, it's almost like free of rhythm. It's almost like free jazz, where it's kind of open to exploration. A lot of improvisation. I mean, I kind of felt like I was tripping when I was watching because it seems so I've grown up around breakdancers, right? So that, no matter how much I see of it, I love it, but it's familiar to me. Krumping was something that was totally new. So yeah, we're gonna have to have Ramel give his interpretation of it. Now, I know this event you guys are doing. It's called Nothin But Style, and that's because this one isn't focus so much on breakdancing, it's all styles. Now, what does all styles mean?
So, Nothing But Styles is created by Anthony Cordero, Spirit. He's one of the main all styles dancers or dancers out here in Allentown area. So, he's been part of the BIA, at least for the time being when he was around there. But he does a lot of events. But Nothing But Style is an all styles battle, and all styles is just having any style you want. So, the music is going to be any style of music, but also you have to learn how to dance that song. So either you know how to pop, you know how to house. So it's just different aspects of different styles when you're dancing.
What's your interpretation of all styles, Dan?
All styles, I like to more say open styles than all styles when it comes to like dancing in a competition, because the term all styles implies every technique and every style, but it's more like freestyle dancing to a song that you're hearing. And for competitions, that's really cool. It brings out more of the talent that we have around here. I really like practicing and like seeing all the dancers and other styles that we have out here. There's a lot of it, and it's really cool to see every time.
So when you guys have a practice here, like what's a normal practice when you get a little crew that comes out? What's that like?
For here, it's like we'll have a few local heads come out during the breaking practices. Everyone brings a fun mood to it, I think. No one takes it too seriously, but when it comes down to it, we all just like to do our thing.
I like how some of the dancers will actually bring out their kids.
Yeah.
It's a true communal thing. It's a pure generational thing too. Mm-hmm. So what generation of HXC are you guys considered? Do you know?
I'm officially third generation, but Jensen like a couple of weeks ago was saying how I'm second. I've never heard him say that before, but pretty sure officially I'm third generation.
So you're both third generation at this point?
I believe so.
Yes. Okay. Well, we'll figure out that when we write the history books officially. So, like, I want to talk about the community of breakdancers, because I think, because we've had you guys perform inside here at the gallery, but also out on the street around the city, and people are kind of baffled when they see it, because I think so many people think that breakdancing was a thing that was around in the 70s and disappeared and then reappeared for a bit in the early 2000s when the culture and all the films were made about the culture. It was very, very hip to be into breakdancing and hip hop at that point, but then that kind of went away again as far as pop culture. Now, what is the community like, the breakdancing community? What is that like in your guys' opinion?
I think it bumped up again ever since it got accepted to the 2024 Paris Olympics. So I've seen way more jams than what it used to be. But also the pandemic is over. Well, to other people, it may not be over. But, after that, it's just been crazy because people are allowed to go outside now. So it's been pretty...
What about the community of dancers in general? Like, why do these people kind of support this certain culture? Why do you think certain people are drawn towards this?
It's a good place to get away and express yourself without everyone judging you. besides the judges when you're trying to win a battle.
Professional judging.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's cool. Like, even me, like, there are times I used to go to events and be pressured to dance, but now I go to events and I get to enjoy it just by, like, dancing by myself or just watching the show or the battles. And I think it's the best thing. It's just a nice getaway. It's like the true essence of hip hop.
What do you think, Dan? What's the breakdancing community like?
Whenever a get together happens or a jam happens, we all just see familiar faces or new faces, all with the common round of one thing, and it's breaking. We don't really understand the other person, but we understand this. When we see them get down, we know, or like we recognize a part of something that's like us and them, and it's like a language almost. And that's kind of like what the battling is too. You don't fully understand someone until you see the shit that they can do, you know? It's like a lifestyle. I don't know.
Absolutely, it's a lifestyle. And you know, it's not just kept to one style, or you know, it's not just kept to one race or one type of people.
Yeah.
It's a very, I would say, one of the most diverse groups of any community that I've ever experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's super worldwide.
And speaking of that, you know, I know you guys have traveled a bit. Where have you traveled in pursuit of, you know, your dance careers, or even just, you know, being with your dance community? Where have you gone?
The most recent trip was Detroit, and before that was Colombia. I think Detroit's pretty cool because it's right next to Canada. And then you have the Motor City Street Dance Academy that's out there, ran by Mav1. And he has some pretty crazy stuff going on, really good community. He works with everyone in the city and outside the city, and dancers from Canada, Ohio coming through. So it's really, really dope.
What did you go to Detroit for?
It was for Who Got the Props and Break Fluid. Those are the two jams that were out there.
Where was it held?
It was held in Detroit at the Hispanic Culture Foundation Center, somewhere around there.
So.
Right? And then, yeah, it's just cool. Seeing a lot of old heads, like Lil Rock and all that. So
was it? So it was a jam. Was it exhibition, or was it?
The first one was not exhibition. It was for the top 16.
One versus one competition format.
Mm.
It's like what, over 60 people?
Yeah, it was a lot.
That's a one-day event.
Yeah, that was one of them, and the jam the next day was Break Fluid, which was a 2-on-2.
Both in Detroit.
Yes.
So now, like, what's the purpose of these? Is there a cash prize? I know some of these jams now, they're qualifiers for the Olympics. Like, what was the purpose of these jams specifically?
When it comes to like breakers in competitions, I think the cash prize isn't the main draw for these anymore. The title of being like the best and like killing it that day, I don't think people enter these for cash prizes mainly. They just want to go and have a good time.
I think it's always been about the bragging rights and the breaking community, though, right?
Yeah.
Especially now that you got, TikTok and Facebook Reels and, Instagram Reels. They're all about that clip.
If you ask Jensen or Nieve, I don't think they ever know. They never mention how much money they want at a jam. They just tell you the time they smoked someone. Yeah.
I killed it. That shit, man. I killed that.
Oh, and I've traveled with these guys on so many different trips to so many different states and jams, and we've definitely spent way more money than we've made off these jams. So it's definitely not a for-profit business. It's definitely about the love of it. Why did you go to Colombia, Paul? What was down there?
Family. So I was going down there for family, but then also I wanted to see if there's any breakers down there. So I got in contact with the BVDs, which is a really big rocking crew, and they're spread out throughout like United States and South America and Central America. So I hit them up, and they connected me with breakers in Cali and Medellin. So I was out
Medellin,
there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the breaking community like in South America? Is it
It's
strong?
raw.
It's raw.
Raw.
Is there a lot of people doing it?
There's a good amount of people doing it, but it's not like, I can't even describe it. It's different because it's another country, but it's just something about it is completely different from America. Yeah, sure, you have everyone that breaks, but like they have more, I don't even know how to describe it. They have more oomph.
South America has more oomph.
Yeah.
Maybe that Spanish tinge in there, So, but like, what were their practice spaces? Did you go and see any dancers while you were down there?
I wasn't able to go to practice spots because I was kind of hard to go through since I didn't know the area too well. But I went to this one thing called Rest and Beats, which is hosted in Itagüí, Medellin, Colombia, and that was pretty sick. So that was just a really big event to see who's a Cypher King or Queen.
Yeah, can you tell us about that? It sounds really fascinating.
It was a Cypher King or Queen, so instead of having a competition, people were just battling it out in circles, and then there were judges that were walking around and see who was the best, and then that's how they would pick. And the DJ that was there, his name was Kid Sanchez. He was from Peru, so he traveled from Peru all the way down to Colombia to spin and do things like that. So that was pretty sick. A lot of great breakers out there. There's also Tay.
So there's no main circle in this one. It's a bunch of side circles.
Yeah, so like in a normal jam, like you'll have like your normal competition, and on the break time you'll have like the circles, which are the ciphers, where people go in and like dance and they go back and forth. You could battle people inside there. But this competition was just mainly for ciphers. So if you were raw in the cipher, you would win the match.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. Now I'm just curious, like, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, like that DJ who traveled from Peru to Colombia, did he bring his own equipment and records?
Don't know if it was his own equipment, but there definitely were turntables there.
So somebody found turntables somewhere.
Yeah, but he was playing some really crazy breaks, like some salsa breaks, which were like edited. But those songs I've only heard through my mom and my grandpa, so it was very interesting. Like that was played as a break, and I'm like, oh, it's really clever.
So the music selection was different down there too.
Yeah,
Were the familiar tunes there as well?
all the basic hip hop shit,
Yeah.
Nas, all that stuff.
Planet
Gangstar.
Rock.
Not Planet Rock, a little bit too poppy, but sometimes you can play Planet Rock if
Okay.
you get it in right. But yeah, man, it was cool.
I don't know. Every jam I've ever been to, they play Planet Rock.
Yeah.
What about you, Dan? Where have you traveled for Breakin?
Just recently, Detroit this year and last year too. Yeah.
What about where else aside from Detroit? I know you've been other places aside from Detroit.
Not too much, just like mostly in this tri-state area. New Jersey, Philly are two places I like go to the most.
And it seems like in New Jersey and Philly and even New York, they're having way more events than there used to be.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why are there so many events all of a sudden?
I also think it's the whole East Coast because you also have the DMV that's like hosting a lot of events as well. So I think it's the whole Eastern Seaboard. It's just all events throughout the whole week. It's been like that for the past like 2 months too.
So is it that more people are into breaking, or is it just easier to get info about these events?
I think it's both. There's just a bunch of talented people scattered all throughout the East Coast who want to make things happen, like all the time. The New Jersey scene, they're really together. I like their community. They want to throw things together all the time. I won 2 of the jams that they threw there this year. And the DMV is the same. They constantly like just know that they have people there and they have to do something or else this talent is wasted, I think.
Where do they throw these jams in Jersey? Like what kind of spaces? Because we're in an art gallery.
Yeah.
I don't really see a lot of jams happen in art galleries.
You've been to the one Jersey Fresh.
I've been to Jersey Fresh,
So-
yes.
Yeah.
They had the
And
2-part event there last year. That was crazy. And this year,
I
believe.
usually only make it to the graffiti because it's a 2-day thing. I usually make it to the graffiti portion of the second day.
I think Rutgers University has 2 jams every year. One is Ruthless, and the other is Breaks Melee, which they've been doing, I think, for the past... Breaks Melee was like the past 4 years, except the pandemic year. And Ruthless has been going on for their 10 years, I think.
Yeah, it seems like colleges are super supportive of breakdancing.
Yes. Or not supportive, but they'll put in the money to do it.
Do you think it's colleges doing that, or just college students using their pulling colleges?
Yes.
That
Yes.
the colleges don't really give a shit then?
Nah.
Okay. Because I'm trying to see here the 16th anniversary of HXC, which was out in Pittsburgh. I'm trying to see where that was held.
That was
at
Carnegie Mellon. Yeah.
Yeah, because it seems like so many of these break-in events I've been to have been at colleges or universities of some sort. So now, what do you think is kind of drawing this rise in new breakers? Like, where is this interest coming from? Because again, a lot of people think this is a dying medium of art, but people that do it are saying it's the exact opposite. What do you think is driving this growth?
Olympics.
But that's recent? That hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah. I don't think, like, it's never going to go away. I think there's always just, like, a wave of people who will see this and say, that's cool as fuck, I'm going to do it. That's never going to go away. Even kids who will just pass by and see breaking and try to emulate it, that'll never go away.
What do you think, Paul? What do you think is developed?
I think it's that, but how crazy it's been recently. As I always say, it's like a broken record. But like the Olympics is a big thing because ever since that happened, a lot of the big known breakers that are part of Red Bull and things like that have been on the news and been on like social media more often about the Olympics. So a lot of events have been held. There's like this most recent one that was in Times Square for a showcase that was out there. So it's been pretty crazy. But no, as what Dan said, it's always going to be there.
So why now all of a sudden is breakdancing being put into the Olympics? Like, what pushed that?
I think it's just the breakers that are constantly pushing it. From what I hear, it's almost not going to happen, actually. It's just like 50-50. It might happen. It might not happen. It's up in the air.
Why? Do you know why that's the case?
I think it's just like the committees, the suits who like run Olympics. Like they don't...
fucking executives.
Yeah, they, again, don't really understand this, but like...
Well, and I don't hear it too much now, but it was around a lot in the late 90s and early 2000s. It's a term, culture vulture. It's basically the executives, the suits that try to get their claws in something that's popular without understanding the culture, just to milk it for what money it's worth.
Yeah.
Which it's like, okay, making money is one thing, but in the process, you know, something can lose its soul.
Yeah.
Which is, I know there were big divisions in the early 2000s in the breaking community because of some dancers appearing in certain films, which, and we don't got to talk about specific titles, but there were some movies out there that the breaking community was not in support of, that they thought did not represent who they really were, and kind of change the direction of breakdancing.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any experience with that? I know you came a little bit after that.
Yeah.
But you know, and your understanding of the history of breakdancing.
Yeah. Sellouts? I want people to like just make a living doing what they love.
Of
like
course.
If you can compromise your art to make a living and do what you love still, and like go up another level in doing your art, I think that's cool. But like there is a certain point where it can get kind of corny.
Well, and I think the goal is to not have to compromise. You know, I always tell artists to create selfishly.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the goal is to get society to support artists in a certain way, where it's like, all right, well, we trust you guys. We trust what you want to do. We trust your process, even if we don't understand it, because even artists often don't understand other artists, but we understand that other people also don't get us. So it's like, just trust me, we'll do this. And I think that's kind of one of the things that has to change with business, is to just like trust artists. Let us do our thing.
Yeah.
If you want to work with artists, like, you know, I say often about like the murals in a place like Allentown. Yeah, it's all well and good that we're doing these murals around the city, but just making our city look better is not the main reason we're doing that. The main reason we're doing that is because the art, the work that these artists are doing, it's so important that we tell these people, we are giving a part of society to you because what you do is so important. That is the first reason we should do it. The fact that it makes a community look better is secondary. Of course, you don't want to bring someone in, do a mural that, you know, makes the community look like shit. Of course you don't want to do that. But you have to not only trust your artist, but whoever's in charge of that has to have enough sense and knowledge to be a curator and know what to curate there, what kind of art and what kind of artist will work best for this space. And those people can only be someone that really understands that community. And I think too often the people that make those choices, they don't understand those communities. You know, it's like so often the people with the money have no ideas.
Yeah.
And the people with the ideas have no money. So it's like, obviously Jersey is right next to Pennsylvania here. How comes New Jersey has such a strong scene and Allentown, Pennsylvania has none? Like, what can we do to make our scene better here in Allentown?
I think they just have more reach. I think like a lot of the newer kids, I think, are coming from college, and I don't know if we have anyone in the area in a college right now that's like interested in breaking.
Well, we have a lot of colleges. We have Cedar Crest. I mean, it's an all-girls college, but we have Cedar Crest, we have Muhlenberg, we have Lehigh University.
Yeah, and
there's
that's where I met like everyone was Lehigh, but like we don't practice there anymore, so we can't like have someone inside who can like keep building the scene.
Well, it seems like schools really are such a central hub to this, because even Hidden Characters Crew, when it was formerly Rockin' with Ease, they started that at Allen High School. I mean, I didn't go to Allen, but I would go to attend the breakdancing practices, which I had after school in the second floor hallway. They didn't even have a dedicated space, not a gym, nothing, because they had other activities going on there. And I remember it would start out with just a few of them, just, N-Rock, who's actually my cousin, and some other friends of ours. They started it, and then it was just like kids that were hanging out after school. That was like, oh, this is cool. Like, let me just watch this, and like, all right, I want to try. And it's at that age of like, I want to outdo you, right? So even though I can't dance, I bet I can do that just as good as you. And no lie, like at that time, Allentown has its troubles, right? At that time, there were kids that were obviously gang members. And then I'm talking about when we're like 15 years old, 14, 15 years old is when all this was going on. And I saw these kids that would stay after school just because they knew, dudes they had an issue with were waiting outside for them. And it was probably going to be more than just a fight. Like, it was common stuff for things, knives or guns to get pulled, people getting robbed. Some of these kids, I knew if they left, we might never see them again. And these kids literally started focusing on breakdancing. And some of them got to tour the world off these talents that otherwise may have been dead. And for me, like, that right there is such a focus on how important the arts are. You give someone this beautiful thing to focus on, it can completely change the direction of their lives. So even as teenagers, a school was so central. And, we've already discussed about how all these events and things take place in colleges, yes, probably being brought on by the college students. But I think maybe that's something we can do better as a group, is we can have more direct communication with these colleges, not even just reaching out to the maybe groups that are there, but helping to start groups.
Yeah.
I think you guys have both been doing this long enough that, because you guys both in some ways, you teach dance as well. Even if it's not an official scheduled class basis, I see you guys teaching some of these neighborhood kids that we work with dance.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, that there's an old hip hop saying, each one teach one.
Yep.
So we kind of all adopted as our principle and our philosophy that if I know something that empowers me and makes my community better, it is my responsibility to pass it on to at least one other person.
Yeah.
I love that. And if we had that philosophy in a larger way in society, man, things would be different. I'm not going to say better or worse, probably better, but they would definitely be different. You would see a lot more community. You'd see a lot more collaboration on things. I feel like right now when I walk outside, it's like, I feel like everyone, they feel like they're on their own. It's me against the world. And this is where dance is so important. So what do you think? Should we try to get more in touch with the local colleges and organize stuff more?
Yeah. Organizing with the local colleges would be cool. That'd be really nice,
We
especially
were
with the
just
events
at
they do.
Northampton Community College a couple of days ago, and we did a performance. One of the students, I think, just walked up to us and said she was a breaker from New Jersey as well, coincidentally.
And I told her, like, go in. It's all you. It's all you. Like, have fun is what we're here for. And then she went in and she did her thing.
What did the college think about your performance? Did they say anything?
No. Not that I
Like
know
a
of.
representative?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone else was there.
No, it's like an open house for like, I don't even think it was open house. It's just a big get together with a bunch of students. And it was just something like that for the midday.
Yeah, because we definitely need more opportunities for these kids to dance. You guys have met a lot of the neighborhood kids here, and some of these kids come from really rough places. And I've seen quite a few of these kids change over time because we work with them and allow them into these things. And with the Alternative Gallery, I wanted to create a space that I wished I had as a kid.
Yeah.
That I wished a lot of the people that I saw going through troubles when we were young, I wish they had as a kid, because it would have changed them completely. And I mean, some days we barely have this one place, right? It's such an uphill battle to survive on the arts and keep an arts organization going where we are. So I personally think the goal is to have more people like you guys doing what you do. Would you guys ever like teach dance full time?
It's a possibility. We're working our way towards that, or in some shape or form, but it is a possibility.
What kind of advice do you have for someone that might be interested in breakdancing, like first steps to getting started?
It's corny, but just do it.
Like what? Okay.
Look on YouTube videos. Like, it was created from nothing, just by looking at kung fu videos and other dancers and other cultures. Like, you're free to do whatever you want. Just know your foundation. If you want to learn something, you can look up Storm's Footwork Fundamentals on YouTube. That's on there. You can purchase like Alien Ness's blueprint video. That's always a good one to learn from. Or even like go on Breakconnect and go to your first jam and just check it out and connect with people.
What about you, Dan? When you work with these kids, what's the first move or couple moves you're showing them?
I like to teach them foundational steps from up top, standing like top rock techniques, and like maybe a basic footwork or go down. Yeah, that's mostly what I specialize in.
What are some of the names of those moves if anyone wants to look them up? Like 3-step, 6-step?
In Indian step for top rock, and for footwork, I like to do CCs and shuffles, a lot of those.
Now, I know you guys have been around a lot of breakdancing and a lot of dancers, but like what is insane when you see it, you lose your mind, like still to this day? Like what moves or what dancers, Dan, like really blow you away?
When I was first starting, I was really inspired by a breaker by the name of Born. He's from Korea. And like the stuff that he did in battles, the swift footwork techniques to the music, that stuff really blew me away when I first saw it.
How do you guys think dancing has changed your lives?
I think it's more than just dancing. I think hip hop is what changed my life, especially learning like that's foundation, 4 elements, each one teach one. So just learning those basic principles really helped me out through everything, especially working in the kitchen, because you're always learning something and you always have to teach somebody something. So it did bring a little bit of patience to me for hip hop.
I probably would have graduated college if it wasn't for dancing.
Oh, so it ruined your life.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, okay.
I was like second year of college, and I told myself I was going to focus on school today, and that kid from Lehigh University was hitting me up, come to the practice. I was like, okay, so yeah. Ever since then, it's just breakdance, baby.
Do you think you went a better path, though?
I'm glad I met everyone that I did through breaking.
Do you feel like you found your people?
Yeah.
That's one of the most important things in life.
Yeah, man.
So obviously, I think we can all agree, breakdancing, it's an art form.
Hell yeah.
Right? Now, Paul, you mentioned you worked in a kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you talk about the marvelous world of being a chef and the culinary arts?
Dang, this thing got sidetracked just now. Culinary arts, crazy stuff, crazy people, a lot of cocaine. Not me, just a lot of things I saw.
But in what ways can the culinary arts be considered arts?
When you make your dishes, blanching, shocking your vegetables to pop out the green color, the chlorophyll and all that stuff in there. On and off color sets when you're doing your desserts. So, I mean, it's all there. It's all colors. Everything's around us. Food is delicious. Food is art. Food is life.
So, I mean, if food can be art, I guess if we really wanted to badly enough, we can make anything into art.
Anything is art.
Yeah?
Even science is art.
Even science is art?
Yeah.
Explain.
Da Vinci, bro.
You guys were just talking about ancient aliens before we started, and I feel like it's going to take that turn.
Nah, it's just like that. Fibonacci sequence, all that stuff, it's all art. It's all math. Mathematicals. Hip-hop is full of mathematicals. Peace to the gods. You know what I'm saying?
So I know that when we first linked up, I've known Dan for a while, but Paul, just being that you started working with the crew a couple of years ago, we just kind of met recently last year. When you guys were dancing, I remember you telling me stories about having troubles dancing outside in the parks. Can you explain like what was going on that was making it difficult to dance in the parks?
Oh yeah, that was like last year.
Yeah.
We did Arts in the Park, or Arts Walk, Arts in the Park Thursdays, and we were just chilling in front of the PPL Center, and the cops came through, and then they just started bugging out on us.
I was
like,
playing a song that I
Yeah.
heard at a Red Bull event, and I was like, "Hey, remember this song?" And
Like, yeah.
I didn't know they would find offense to the lyrics.
Well, I remember that. That was actually it was a happy hour in Hamilton. It was
Yeah.
a city center sponsored event, right? And we were on city center property. Who was paying us to be there, and the cops just rolled up, assuming you guys weren't supposed to be there and harassing you. So here you guys are trying to do this good thing, this communal thing, bring people out, of which again you were being paid by the property owners to do, and you were getting harassed.
Yeah, threatened to get arrested for playing loud music. And then unfortunately I had to say, like, I never heard someone getting arrested for loud music like that.
Yeah, well,
A fine,
which,
yes, but not arrested.
which is literally every other car in the city just like blasting out music.
Yeah, as the car was blasting at the same time.
But you
I'm
know,
like, all right.
it's a lot easier to catch someone that's on a sidewalk with a big ass speaker than it is someone in a moving vehicle, which is why they did it. And they
True.
again, they assumed you weren't supposed to be there, and because people think when they see live performances or live music or anything like this out in public and without some huge stage and a festival going on around it, it's not supposed to be there. When it's like, why is this like a specialty thing?
That's what makes it not a city. When you don't allow those things, I mean, that's why everyone goes to New York, because New York is bumping all the time. When you start denying people how to perform and do things on the street when they're not causing harm, that's when your city doesn't like you.
Yeah, there were two things that struck me. Obviously, us getting harassed, you guys getting harassed by the cops was one. The second was how many people walked or drove by and didn't even look at the breakdancing. Like, where the hell else are you going to go where there's just random breakdancing and you don't even look at it? Why do you think people didn't even care? Like, what's up with that? Do you think just people that checked out?
Every time I break in public or see people break in public, there's like two kind of people who are amazed and people who just like whatever.
That's true.
I think people are afraid you're going to challenge them to dance if they look your way.
Yeah, you'll always get this old head passing by talking about how he'll like used to break dance.
Yeah,
like, every
my
single
God.
time.
Every single time. Yep. And yeah, usually they have some New York or New Jersey story. Even if they didn't live there, they went up there and did something, right? Because that was the heart of it then. So let's talk about your event this weekend. Why, like, what made you want to throw this event? Tell me who you're bringing out.
We want to throw events because we know that there is mad talent out here, and we want to like keep it going because like we know
Yes.
that like if we don't do anything, this talent is just wasted out here.
Correct. I do agree on that one, yeah. There's really nothing much going on around here except for like food events, which are not like the best, but like having our events and bring people that we know and people that we dance with to challenge themselves with other people, it's probably the best thing because you really push you push yourself to be better.
Yeah, and so who's all involved with these events? I know you have a bunch of guest judges and things of that nature, some DJs.
Yeah, we have Wrath MC from ETS crew in Philadelphia. We also have DJ Ruggs, which is part of Break's crew, or is part of Break's crew. He'll be out here too, which we also have another Break's crew member from New York City, which his name is Izzy. And he lives out in Easton, and he's in the area too.
For judges, we have Oogie from Philadelphia. He's Dirty Dozen crew. And we have Arlo, who I think is currently in Harrisburg and a really dope artist himself. And the last judge is Mean187, who I think he's like New York and Virginia.
What is this one? Is it like 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2?
For the breaking battles is 2v2.
And for the open styles, it's going to be 1v1.
And if they win, what do they get? Aside from
First,
bragging rights.
There's a first, second, and third place prize, I think. Yeah. $600 for first
I
place.
think 600, 650 for first, or like 200 for second, and then 100 for third.
Cool. Is this event just for breakdancers? Can anybody come out to it?
Anyone can come out.
Yeah, you don't have to be a dancer. If you want to come out and check out, support the community, it's a good thing. We need people. People need to see what's going on, not just stay home and watch YouTube.
Yeah, we do a lot of different types of events here at the gallery, and the crew always tells me that the breakdancing events are always their favorite. Aside from the high energy and just dope moves, I think it does bring out of everything we do the most diverse crowd. People from all walks of life. I mean, like you said, someone was coming from Taiwan for this event.
Yeah, from one of the people that are going to it, I checked it and said he was from Taiwan. So I'm like, all right, it's pretty dope.
I mean, so we know that people travel. You know, I know for Ramel's show next month, he's got people coming from around the world as well. So
Yeah, you got people from India, mad places. Pretty cool.
yeah, and it's like I wish we can, you know, infuse that energy and excitement and support into the other art forms that we work with here in the gallery. So maybe we just need to have dance at everything we do.
I think so. There's nothing wrong with that. Art's art. You got to start somewhere.
So when we have like, you know, the music that kicked off the show, that was Bear Sloth. They're like a psychedelic funk band here.
Yeah.
When they play, you guys should dance to them. Right?
Maybe, yeah.
There was the one that, remember the HXC jam? Paul wasn't here for it, but you were, Dan, where the final battle, this was like 2018, I think it was.
Was it like a live drummer?
The final battle, yeah. It was live drums. And, you know, that goes to what you said earlier, you know, about like freestyle over routines.
Yeah.
And when you hear a song, some people already have routines like, oh, this is that song, I know what I'm going to do. But the live drummer, it was unpredictable.
Yeah.
Which I remember the dancers were like going crazy about. They loved it because it was so different.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that happening in another situation?
I've never been to a jam where like there was a live band, but I know that they happen, and I think that's really cool. I would want that myself. Like if we can get a jam with like a live band, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, that sounds super dope.
Yeah, there was like a jam out in like Europe, I think. I think it was like last year or 2 years ago. It was, I usually type in breaking on a boat, BRKN on a boat, and it'll pop up with like machine judging. But there's this one thing where they do Seven to Smoke, and it's a whole live band the whole time, Seven to Smoke. Like 30 minutes straight. Just a live band just playing the drums in a hot room, and people are just going at it.
That's dope.
Women and men battling each other.
That's really cool. So if anybody wants to get information, how can they find out about the event?
Brkn is going to be the main place to find out all the breakdancing events. So our event's going to be there. Brkn, BREAKKONNECT.
And Breakin Steel on Instagram.
And how do you spell that? Because I know it's unique.
BRKN Steel.
Steel. STEEL.
EEL. We ain't stealing nothing.
Steel. Like hard as steel, not thieving.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want people to know about your event, or just, you know, the dance community in general?
Come out and support is the main thing. Just coming out and just enjoying your time at the event is the most important thing.
Bring yourself. Have fun. That's what we're here for.
And you can bring the kids. It's definitely an all ages event.
Yes.
Breakin Steel, Nothing But Style, this Sunday, September 17th at the Alternative Gallery. Doors are at
3 o'clock?
3 o'clock. 3 to 10, depending on how the turnout is. 3 to 10. Could be earlier, could be later, depending.
So doors at 3, event probably around 4 o'clock, something like that, depending when everyone rolls in. People are traveling, so we'll give them a little extra time, punk time as we call it.
No B-boy time. We start on time.
No B-boy time.
That's right. We start on time. If you're not on time, well, you know.
All right, thank you, Paul and Dan, for coming out. Make sure to check out their event on Breakin and also Breakin Steel, BRKNSTEEL on Instagram. And for those who are lucky enough to attend the event this Sunday at the Alternative Gallery, you're going to have a hell of a time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Art Bazaar. We'll see you next time.